Ethan sat in the small cabin he called home on the space station, staring at the flickering holoscreen that had just delivered the news. His stomach felt heavy, his mind swirling. Zillar was gone. His alien friend, his closest companion in the galaxy, had died suddenly. The official message said natural causes, but Ethan knew Zillar's life was never simple. Traitors like him carried enemies in every shadow. Rivalries woven into business deals that spanned light years. Ethan rubbed his eyes. He had grown used to Zillar's strange ways. The way he laughed with 5 voices at once, the way his translucent skin changed color when he was excited. But more than that, Zillar had trusted him. He had shared secrets no human had ever heard, told Ethan about the immense wealth he had accumulated, and even invited him to see the heart of his homeworld. Far beyond the reaches of Earth's Space Council, now Zillar was gone. And Ethan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the recycled air of the station. He had expected grief, yes, but what followed made him shake. The holoscreen flashed again, this time showing an official message from Zillar's lawyer, as per Zillar's last will. Ethan Mars is named the primary inheritor of all Zillar's assets. Furthermore, he is entrusted with the care of Lyra, Zillar's widow. You are instructed to travel to planet Virelia immediately to assume your responsibilities. Ethan leaned back, his mind struggling to process the words. Wealth was one thing he had imagined himself swimming in credits, exploring new systems, maybe even buying a small ship of his own. But Zillar's wife? Lyra? Ethan barely knew her. He remembered meeting her once, years ago, at a trade summit. She had been regal, distant, impossible to read, and fiercely intelligent. She had the presence of someone born to rule. The idea that he was now responsible for her safety made Ethan's heart pound. He didn't have long to think. The holoscreen shifted to an interactive map of Virelia, a planet bathed in soft violet light with towering cities that shimmered like glass. Below the hologram, an automated message detailed the travel arrangements. Ethan had 3 standard space jumps to reach Virelia before the local authorities required his appearance. Packing was simple. He had little besides his tools, a few clothes, and a worn journal he kept for notes. Still, he couldn't shake a growing unease. Zillar had always warned him, Virelia is not safe for humans. Their society is ... different. You must understand their ways or you won't last a week. Ethan had brushed it off as exaggeration, but now the warning echoed in his mind like a bell he could not silence. When he arrived, the planet was more breathtaking than he had imagined. Cities rose like crystalline forests, connected by bridges of light that pulsed gently. Flying vehicles glided silently between towers, and the air carried a strange, sweet scent that seemed almost alive. Ethan felt both awed and out of place. Humans were rare here, and every gaze he encountered seemed to measure him, analyze him, question him. The first encounter with Lyra was not what he expected. He entered Zillar's mansion, a sprawling structure of luminous stone and curved towers, and found her in the central hall. She was sitting silently, her posture rigid, her eyes like twin pools of liquid silver. When she looked at him, Ethan felt exposed, as if she could see every fear, every doubt inside him. You are Ethan Mars, she said, her voice calm, but with an edge that warned against casual conversation. Zillar spoke of you often. I suppose you are here because of his last request. Ethan swallowed. Yes, I received his message. His words felt small in the vast hall, and Lyra's gaze did not waver. I do not need a caretaker, she said plainly, her silver eyes narrowing slightly. I can handle myself. Ethan nodded. I don't mean to interfere. Zillar trusted me, and I want to respect his wishes. Lyra studied him for a long moment, then nodded once, sharply as if conceding a silent point. Very well. But know this, human, Zillar's world is not simple. You may think wealth makes life easier, but here, wealth draws eyes like a predator draws prey. You will need to be clever. From that moment, Ethan understood the reality of his inheritance. It was not just the credits, the ships, or the estates. It was a web of responsibilities, enemies, and alliances. He had stepped into a world, where one misstep could cost him everything, including his life, in the following days. Ethan tried to learn the ways of Virelia. The alien council was strict and formal. Every interaction was a test, a measure of intelligence, composure, and adaptability. Ethan struggled at first. His human habits seemed clumsy, his tone sometimes too blunt. But slowly, he began to notice patterns, small customs that others took for granted. The council members respected strategy, loyalty, and courage above all. Lyra, meanwhile, remained distant but observant. She tested him often, presenting scenarios designed to reveal his judgment and patience. In one exercise, she placed him in a simulated crisis. A rare energy storm was approaching their city, and Ethan had to coordinate evacuation protocols with alien officials he barely understood. Using nothing but his experience and quick thinking, he succeeded, earning a small, approving nod from her. It was a tiny victory, but one that allowed Ethan to feel he was not entirely out of place. Yet, under the surface, danger lurked. Whispers in the corridors hinted that Ziller's death had not been natural. Some claimed it was a business accident. Others suggested a darker plot. Ethan could feel the tension in every conversation, the suspicion that humans could not be trusted. He began investigating quietly, using his engineering skills and human intuition to examine Ziller's private quarters. His ledgers and his communications, it was in Ziller's study that Ethan found the first clue. A series of encrypted messages, half deleted, indicated that Ziller had discovered a conspiracy against him, something involving powerful members of the council who wanted his wealth and influence. Ethan realized that he had not just inherited fortune, he had inherited danger. One evening, a council member approached Ethan in the gardens, a place where light seemed to bend strangely and flowers glowed in gentle patterns. "Human," the alien said, his voice smooth. "Do you understand what you have stepped into?" Zillar was clever, but he was not invincible. "You must tread carefully." Ethan met his gaze. "I intend to understand everything." "I won't fail." The council member smiled faintly, almost in amusement, then turned away. Ethan knew that the warning was genuine. Someone wanted him to fail, but he also felt a strange surge of determination. Humans were resilient, inventive, and adaptable. He would use every bit of those qualities to protect Lyra, uncover the truth, and honor Ziller's trust. The tension escalated when a public ceremony required Lyra to attend. The council presented the event as a celebration of Ziller's life, but Ethan could sense the underlying threat. They whispered of a forced remarriage, a union with an alien noble designed to consolidate Ziller's wealth under new management. Ethan could not allow this. He spent hours devising a plan, considering every option, every risk. When the day arrived, Ethan accompanied Lyra to the council chamber. The hall was vast, with ceilings that shimmered like liquid light. Hundreds of alien officials watched silently, their eyes sharp and calculating. Lyra's posture was perfect, regal, but her expression betrayed anxiety. Ethan felt a surge of protective instinct. The council president stepped forward, presenting the proposal. "Lyra, as the widow of Ziller, you are entitled to inherit his estate. However, our laws require that you be allied through marriage to a member of our council to secure the balance of power." Lyra's eyes met Ethan's. For a fleeting moment, a question passed between them. Should she accept this fate, or could she trust this human at her side? Ethan stepped forward, taking a risk that could have cost him his life. "I object," he said, his voice steady. "Ziller entrusted me with his wife and his fortune. I am here to honor his wishes. No council member can claim his estate through force." A stunned silence followed. Whispers rippled through the chamber. Some aliens gasped, others frowned. Lyra's silver eyes widened, and for the first time, Ethan saw something other than grief, a flicker of hope. The council president's gaze sharpened. "Human, you overstep. You do not understand our laws." Ethan held his ground. "I understand more than you think. Ziller believed in me. I will not betray that trust." The hall seemed to hold its breath. In that moment, Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. He had stepped into a world of wealth, danger, and intrigue far beyond anything he had imagined. He had allies and enemies, a grieving widow depending on him, and secrets that could topple powerful figures. Yet, he also felt a strange confidence. Humans had survived countless challenges on Earth. Humans had thrived where others feared. And humans, he thought, had the capacity to surprise even the most advanced alien civilization. As they left the chamber, Lyra finally spoke softly. "Perhaps. You are not as foolish as I thought, human." Ethan smiled faintly, exhausted but resolute. "And perhaps I can learn from you." Together, they walked back through the glowing gardens of Verelia, unaware that unseen eyes were watching, plotting, and waiting for the right moment to strike. The journey had just begun, and Ethan knew that survival, trust, and understanding would be his greatest challenges. But one thought remained clear in his mind. He would honor Zealer, protect Lyra, and prove that a human could thrive even in a world built for the impossible. The days that followed the council confrontation were tense. Ethan quickly realized that Verelia was more dangerous than he had imagined. Every corridor he walked through seemed to hold eyes that studied him. Conversations he could not fully understand hinted at plots, and every smile carried a hidden meaning. But he refused to be intimidated. He had to be strong, not just for himself, but for Lyra and for Zealer, whose trust weighed heavily on his shoulders. Lyra, meanwhile, was changing. The initial distance and coldness she carried began to soften, just enough for Ethan to notice. She watched him with quiet curiosity, analyzing his every decision. Sometimes late at night she would ask him questions about Earth, about humans, and about the choices he had made in life. In return, Ethan shared small pieces of his world, his values, and the ideas that had carried humans through countless struggles. Slowly, a fragile trust began to grow between them. Ethan's first step in uncovering the truth about Zealer's death was to examine the records Zealer had kept. Zealer's estate was massive, filled with accounts, contracts, and communications spanning entire star systems. Most humans would have been overwhelmed, but Ethan thrived on challenges. He discovered patterns and anomalies that suggested someone close to Zealer had betrayed him. Certain shipments went missing, messages were altered, and a small group of council members had taken unusual interest in Zealer's deals shortly before his death. One evening, as Ethan analyzed the final transmissions Zealer had sent, he found a clue that chilled him. Zealer had suspected someone powerful within the council wanted him dead and had left hidden instructions for Ethan, encrypted in a way that only someone who truly knew him could understand. The instructions hinted at a secret meeting point where vital information could be obtained, proof that Zealer's death was not an accident. Ethan shared this with Lyra cautiously. "There is a place," he said, "where Zealer left evidence. If we can reach it, we might know who is behind this." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Do you think they will let us go there, Isoli?" Ethan shook his head. "Not at all. But Zealer trusted me to protect you. I can't fail him, Lyra, and I won't." The journey to the hidden site was perilous. Verelia's landscapes were stunning but treacherous. Towering cliffs of translucent rock, forests of bioluminescent plants that reacted to movement, and sudden storms of electric energy tested their resolve. Ethan relied on his engineering skills and quick thinking to navigate, building temporary shelters and tools from the resources around them. Lyra, in turn, shared her knowledge of the land, warning him of natural hazards and explaining the behavior of native creatures. Slowly, they began to function as a team, each respecting the other's strengths. Finally, they reached the location Zealer had indicated, a hidden chamber beneath a cliff. Shielded from the prying eyes of the council, inside, they discovered Zealer's personal archives, holorecords, cryptid files, and a small artifact that appeared to contain the most sensitive information. Ethan began decrypting the files, and what he uncovered confirmed their worst fears. A faction within the council had orchestrated Zealer's death to seize his wealth and influence. They had manipulated shipments, altered contracts, and used their political power to isolate Zealer from allies. Some of the conspirators had even tried to coerce Lyra into a forced marriage, aiming to secure control over Zealer's estate. The scale of the plot was staggering. Lyra looked at Ethan with a mixture of shock and awe. He trusted you with this, she said softly. He knew you could handle it. Ethan nodded. I won't let him down. But we need a plan. If we confront them openly, they will strike first. They spent days preparing, using the chamber as a base. Ethan studied the council's routines. Lyra analyzed the political alliances. Together they devised a strategy that relied on intelligence, timing, and human ingenuity. Ethan's ideas were unconventional, and at times Lyra doubted them. But she trusted him more than anyone else on Varelia. The decisive moment came during a council gathering intended to approve the transfer of Ziller's assets to the conspirators. Ethan and Lyra infiltrated the chamber, using subtle devices to record conversations and reveal hidden evidence. When the time was right, Ethan projected the records before the council. Holo recordings showed the conspirators' manipulation, proof of stolen assets, and evidence of Ziller's final warnings. The chamber erupted in chaos. Council members shouted, arguments flew, and some tried to destroy the evidence. Ethan's human presence in the room, calm and unshaken, drew attention. He spoke clearly, detailing the conspiracy, revealing names, dates, and actions. His voice carried a weight the aliens had not expected. Lyra added her testimony, recounting her experiences and observations, confirming Ethan's claims. Her words, combined with the recorded evidence, left the council with no choice but to act. The conspirators were exposed, their power diminished, and Ziller's estate secured. After the confrontation, a quiet settled over the city. Ethan and Lyra stood together on a balcony overlooking the glowing towers, the violet light of the planet bathing them in a calm glow. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes softer now, her posture more relaxed. You were remarkable, she said. Not just because of what you did, but because of who you are. Ethan shrugged. I just did what I thought was right. Zillar trusted me, and I wanted to honor him. Lyra smiled faintly, a gesture rare and precious. You honored him, and more. You have my trust now, Ethan, and perhaps more than trust. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest he had never experienced in the alien world. It was not just respect or gratitude. It was a connection, forged through shared danger, intelligence, and courage. In a place where humans were outsiders, he had found a bond that transcended species. Over the following weeks, Ethan and Lyra worked together to manage Ziller's empire. Ethan's human ingenuity complemented Lyra's knowledge of alien politics, and they began to expand the business in ways Ziller might have never imagined. The Alien Council, now aware of their capabilities, treated them with a mixture of respect and caution. Humans, they realized, could be more adaptable and resourceful than even their most advanced species expected. Ethan never forgot Ziller, and he often spoke of him with Lyra, sharing memories, lessons, and laughter. Lyra, in turn, began to open up about her hopes, fears, and the dreams Ziller had shared with her. Together, they discovered that partnership across species, cultures, and expectations was not only possible but powerful. One evening, as they reviewed a new trade route spanning several star systems, Lyra placed a hand on Ethan's arm. I am glad you are here, she said quietly. I do not know what the future holds, but with you, I feel prepared for it. Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, he replied. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the balcony, each one a potential adventure, a new challenge. Ethan realized that Varelia, with its dangers, mysteries, and beauty, had become a new home. He had faced threats, uncovered conspiracies, and won the respect of an entire alien society, all because he had trusted in human ingenuity, courage, and loyalty, as the violet light of the planet bathed them. Ethan and Lyra looked at the horizon together. Their journey had begun with loss and uncertainty, but it had led to alliance, respect, and a bond that bridged worlds. They knew that challenges would continue, but they also knew they would face them side by side, stronger than anyone could have predicted. And in that moment, Ethan understood what Ziller had known all along: humanity. With its resilience, creativity, and heart, could not only survive among the stars, but could thrive, inspire, and change the course of alien civilizations. The night deepened, quiet and serene, as Ethan looked at Lyra. He knew that the galaxy was vast, the future uncertain, but for the first time, he felt truly at home. He had inherited not just wealth, but a purpose, a partnership, and the proof that humans against all odds could shine brightly, even in the most alien of worlds. Together, they turned back to the city, ready to continue Ziller's legacy, ready to build a future neither of them could have imagined alone, and ready to face whatever challenges awaited. The galaxy was theirs to navigate, and Ethan knew that, as long as they trusted each other, there was nothing they could not overcome.